All right. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you all for coming out today. It's always exciting when we get to unwrap or unveil our new signing class to you. So we're incredibly excited. 17 new owls we get to present. And, signing days are always fun. We celebrate recruiting, and I think this is a really impressive 2021 class. So we're excited for you to see the physicality that they play with, the overall size that they play with. And these are bright student athletes. They're the kind of kids we bring into Rice University. So excited for y'all to ultimately get a chance to meet them. Academically, we ask a lot from our signees. Many of their classmates get into a coast mode in the senior year, and they're able to go take one or two classes a day. And that's not going to be the case with somebody who's coming to Rice University. We're going to ask them to be in academic solids. We're going to ask them to take another AP class, sign up for another AP class, take a harder math. And so because of those things, I'm always really impressed by the student athletes that we end up with, and so thankful for those ones that I get to work with every day. As we talk about this class, one thing I always say about recruiting is it takes a village to recruit. And, I think that's the case every year. I think it doesn't matter where you are. But one thing that I want to talk about is I want to talk about our great administration that sets the table and allows us to do those things, to go sea to shining sea to recruit. And so that starts with President Lebron, our athletic director, Dr. Joe Carlgard, Rick Mello, Torian Houston, the people that have day-to-day interaction. Also want to say thank you, of course, to our coaches and staff, especially our recruiting staff, led by our director of recruiting, Alex Brown, Trey Odom, Danny Gain, Justin Marcus, our graphic artist, and Alex Giles. Those people do a phenomenal job. We got the best video staff in America, and I always want to talk about those guys, and Roger Hayhurst and Ryan Hayworth. I'm so thankful for those guys. And then a lady that doesn't get enough credit, she puts out all the social media content you see on Twitter and a lot of our graphic footprint is Miss Caroline Hall. And so thank you to all those people, because that stuff all makes a difference, all helps in recruiting. And one other person is Chuck Poole, who you guys all interact with, and he wrote up the release that you'll get to see about these amazing kids today. Another group I want to thank is the parents of these recruits, who were able to, although they couldn't physically come to campus because of the dead period. Some of them did. Some of them got in before quarantine started, but some of them just had to sit on Zoom calls. And they did it. And more than that, they got to a point where they trusted us with their most prized possession. As we talk about gifts in the holiday season, their most prized possession, they're going to give to us, and they're going to expect us to make them better on and off the field, to give them back a better product than they gave us. And that's exactly what we intend to do. And lastly, and certainly not least, I want to thank the high school coaches of these young men. And I want to tell you how thankful I am to be in the state of Texas and to be in a place that believes in straight line recruiting, where recruiting starts with the high school coach. Feel incredibly blessed every year that I get to work with those guys. But I think there's never been a year where the high school coach has been more important in the process. And the reason for that is we didn't get the opportunity to go out and be in the recruit's home. We didn't get to see how he interacts with his parents and his siblings. We had to trust these high school coaches and put a lot of ask on them, and they came through in a big way for us. So appreciative of those high school coaches. As we look at this class, I think it's going to mesh really well with our previous classes. I think you're going to see, looking at our 2020 dynamic class and how those guys jumped on the field, how they have great energy for this game and love this game and love each other. I think that's what you're going to see in this class. Some descriptors are want to, love of this game, desire, drive, juice and energy, and the it factor. And one thing I always talk about when I talk about the it factor, those are the kind of people that I want to be around, the people that others gradually or gravitate to, I guess is probably the right word to say. They're natural leaders. And that's what we got a bunch of in this class. Another thing that we have in this class is size. And if you guys remember the old Wendy's commercial, where's the beef? Well, the beef is right here in this class. I mean, we have for a long time in our recruiting meetings, our defensive line coach, Cedric Calhoun, said we need some protein, and we signed it in this class. So you're looking at five offensive and defensive linemen over 300 pounds, 5 more players in this class over 225, and even our skill players, none of them under 175. So these are some big high school kids in most cases, and we're very excited to have them in here. There's a lot of versatility built into this class. I think you'll see as you look at some of the guys in this class, they play positions like Jordan Myers. You know, I look at Joshua Williams, and on a state championship team, he was the quarterback, a wide receiver, a corner, a safety, a punt returner, kicker, punter, kickoff coverage guy. I mean, and that's what we want. We want guys that are versatile and can do a lot of roles. It helps them play earlier, and certainly I think it makes them a more well-rounded player. Speaking of that, you hear coaches all the time talk about multi-sport players and how much they enjoy coaching them and how much it benefits them in our great game. Well, 2 of these young men played varsity baseball, and 5 of them played varsity basketball, and that always correlates. You can think about how cutting off the baseline for a lineman is the same as pass protection, and for corners, it's the same as their initial man-to-man technique. So all those things have great carryover. One thing that was really impressive for me and the recruiting staff as we got into this class and got to know them is this class, these guys, these student athletes that were 17 years old in some cases when we started talking to them, they had great vision. They had great vision for what they wanted and what they wanted to get out of the college experience. And they were able to articulate it, which I think at that age is hard to do sometimes. But they were confident in Bryce's ability to help them grow and realize their dreams on and off the field. So once again, something that's really, really important to me and really appreciative for them. Again, like we talk about what this recruiting cycle looked like and how different it was. I told you how much I appreciate the high school coaches. Well, I also appreciate those recruits because it was a mature bunch. You know, we had a couple of junior days that we had to do on Zoom, and there's so much great information we want to give them about our program. And before we knew it, the Zoom call was 2.5 hours. And all the experts will tell you should have, 30-minute Zoom calls and really limit what you do. And we just couldn't. And these guys were the ones that sat there and took in the information, and then at the end wouldn't let us go. They had more questions about our strength program, our dietitian. Hey, how do you do this at Rice? What are you guys going to do schematically? So many of them were part of that 2.5-hour Zoom call. I can't tell you how many times they were on an hour-long call talking ball with our position coaches, and how many of those calls that our position coaches made with Hans Straub, our director of sports performance, on with our dietitian, on with our director of recruiting and those guys in the recruiting department all the time, including a Zoom last week just to talk about how to fill out the letter of intent. And these guys have met every deadline, everything we've asked them to do. So their willingness and desire to be at Rice has really been clear, and very thankful for that. I told you there's 17 total signees at this point, and we are not done. This is not a finalization of our class by any means, but today we're announcing 16 high school players and 1 prep school player, 9 of which are from the state of Texas, 4 from the state of Alabama, 2 from Florida, 1 from California, and 1 from New Jersey. And as I said before, a couple more on the way. We beat some steep competition on these kids. You know, had offers from Arkansas, Duke, Vanderbilt, Kansas, Utah, Baylor, Arizona State. So anytime we can go toe-to-toe with those people and convince them that Rice is the right place, we're going to feel really confident that we're getting people that really want to be here. And as I've said before, that's incredibly important to us. Class, as we said, is not done. But right now, as it stands with this group of 17 young men, small class, I think we're ranked 84th in the nation in 24/7. And that's up 13 spots from last year. So excited to see where this class will end up when we add a few more pieces to it. But really, again, our historic class last year has been surpassed at this point, and we're really proud about that. I want to talk about these players individually, and then I'll get a chance to open it up for questions. The first one, DJ Arkansas, 6'2", 205-pound linebacker from Denton Ryan. Yeah, 2-time all-district selection for head coach Dave Hennigan at Ryan. They are still playing. They're in the second round of the playoffs tonight. DJ's one of those guys that had those Power 5 offers when you talk about Arkansas and Duke across the country. And so we feel very fortunate DJ wanted to play for the Rice Owls. Next one up is Blake Banish, 6'3", 340 pounds. Had a chance to talk to him last night on FaceTime. He fills up the whole window, and that's certainly what we hope he does with A and B gaps in the future. But a 2-time all-district selection for head coach Mike Giles down at Needville High School. Next up is a wide receiver, Jay Fulmer, 6'1", 185 from Dothan High School. 3-year starter for Smitty Grider at Dothan. And we're just excited about him. We're excited about all the things, all the possibilities he brings to that wide receiver room. Next up is Jalen Hargrove, which Jalen is going to join us in January. He's a kid we recruited last year and from Patterson, New Jersey. And we weren't able to get to him last year. He ended up going to Choate Rosemary Hall as a prep school, and they didn't get to play this fall, but we're just going to go ahead and bring him on back at this point. So we're excited to bring him in. He is 6'4" and down to 308 right now, and he's a 4-year letter winner in basketball. Jagger Hebeson is a tight end that we are so excited about from Colleyville Heritage. He's 6'4", 225. He does everything for their offense. You see him catch the ball and do some of the things that modern tight ends do, but he's fearless in the blocking game too. He's just a ultimate teammate, and we are so excited to have him join our team. A 2-time all-district first-team selection at tight end for Coach Kirk Martin. They are also still playing in the playoffs. That's another thing that you always see, and you never know it when you start recruiting these guys in the spring or the summer. But I'm just always amazed at how many guys of ours are still playing or played for state championships, and that's important stuff. We're signing winners. We're bringing people that love this game and understand the commitment it takes. Next player is Showkee Itrash, quarterback, 6'3", 190 from Braden River High School in Bradenton, Florida. 2-year starter for Coach Kurt Bradley at Braden River. Really excited about him. That school has produced 2 quarterbacks, the last 2 quarterbacks before Showkee. One went to App State and one went to East Carolina. So obviously he knows what he's doing down there, and we're proud to have one of his players join our program. Next up is 5'10", 175-pound cornerback, Jonathan Jean, goes by JoJo from Victory Christian in Lakeland, Florida. 3-year starter at Victory Christian and won the state title in his junior year. Next up, 6'4", 300-pound lineman from Kempner, Texas, Lampasas High School, John Long. 3-year starter for Troy Rogers at Lampasas, earning All-State and All-Centec district honors. So a guy that you're going to watch on film when you see these highlights that we put out, and you're going to see him maul people. I mean, he really embodies everything in intellectual brutality, and he's excited to come and be a part of it. Next will be from right here in Houston, Decaney High School, defensive lineman Elroy Morris Jr., and he is 6'3", 270 pounds. 3-year starter for Coach Anthony Williams at Decaney. They head into their meeting with Bridgeland in the 2nd round coming up this weekend. So really doing some big things there as well. Ethan Oniyawa is at Katy Cinco Ranch. He's a 6'6", 300-pound offensive tackle. He's a baby of this class. I think he's the 2nd youngest player in our class at 6'6", 300. So obviously we don't know if his growth is done, but we are excited about him. He bends incredibly well, and just an absolute beautiful young man that is so excited about the opportunity to come to Rice academically and athletically. Pepe is a 6'4", 330-pound offensive lineman. So again, we're talking about 300 plus, but not just like 301. This is 330. This is a big human being. He's from Orange Lutheran in Bellflower, California. And one thing that you'll see with Pepe is that he plays violent. He hits people and they move, and it's exactly what we want up front. He's a guy that's played for a coach that I've known for a little while now in J.P. Presley, who's back at his alma mater there. They play in the Trinity League, the same league that we got Jake Bailey from. So about as good as it gets in California in terms of that league. Now, their ball has been pushed to the spring, and they're very optimistic they'll get to play. We look forward to watching Pepe if they do. Next up is linebacker Kenny Seymour Jr., 6'3", 225-pound linebacker, right here from Fort Bend Marshall, right here in the Houston area. 3-year starter, the last 2 for James Williams, and they are in the 2nd round of the playoffs tonight, or it's coming up this week as well on Friday, looking to advance for the 3rd consecutive year to the state title game. Aiden Siano, 6', 225-pound linebacker from Prosper, Texas, Prosper High School, a 4-year fixture for the Eagles, and Coach Brandon Schmidt. Siano has led the Prosper to the 2nd round of the playoffs, and they're playing Arlington Bowie on Friday night. But just as you watch this linebacker group, that was a position of need we identified, knowing some of the losses we'd have in the room. So that's something we went out to address in this class. And all 3 of these linebackers we could not be more excited about. Excited to bring Aiden into the program. 6'3", 190-pound wide receiver, Peyton Stevenson from Demopolis, Alabama. 3-year starter for Coach Brian Seymour. Helped lead Demopolis to the second round of the playoffs this year. And just a very versatile player. Plays a lot of different things for him. And we're excited to get Peyton into our program. Next up is Cal Varner III, 6'4", 235-pound defensive end for Coach Gary Joseph at Katy High School. A guy who's really come into his own in his senior year. Has always been a basketball player. And dad coaches AAU basketball. Really started coming around. They started seeing some things really in his growth in terms of the football program. And really, he worked his butt off this offseason, and the production has been unreal. Coach Joseph just raves about him. So we're excited to have Cal join our program. Next up, 6'1", 190-pound safety Joshua Williams from Linden, Alabama. Another one of those guys, as you hear all these guys went to the playoffs, well, they've already won their state championship. He was a 4-year starter for Coach Travis Lockett, and they ended up with a 15-0 record this year and won the state championship. We saw some highlights from it. It was from Bryant-Denny Stadium. I think it was a week and a half ago, so really proud of him for leading his team. And last up, the last of our group from Alabama, Marcus Williams. He's a safety, 5'11", 190 pounds from Hoover High School, coached by Josh Niblett, good friend of mine who obviously has been at Hoover and had success there for years. Led Hoover to the Class 7A semifinals as a junior and senior while he was starting for Coach Niblett. So, again, you hear a lot of superlatives. You hear a lot of winners mixed in there. But, guys, I could talk to you about this class forever. I'm so excited about the athletic potential, and especially as I look at our team in a year where you could, in theory, bring back every member of your team because of the COVID and the NCAA giving everybody a year of eligibility. It went from a point of filling needs, like you normally talk about in a recruiting class, to what do we want? And we filled some wants in this class. And we're so excited about some of those guys and their ability to potentially step in and help our football team. So it's been a great day getting to talk to those kids and their families. We also set up Zoom calls to talk to almost every high school head coach on that list and just talk to them and thanked them for the opportunities and the fact that they trusted us with their young men, and thanked them for all the things that they did for us this year that I've already talked about, just in terms of running down paperwork, giving us character assessments, teaching us how to get in touch, who are the most important people in these kids' lives. So again, been a fun day. I'm glad I got to talk to the prospects, the families, and the coaches. With that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Hey, Mike, this is Randy. Congrats on the class. Can you talk to us a little bit about your approach to recruiting from when you arrived on this job to now, and just the inroads you and your staff have been able to make, in particular coming off this season where you guys made obvious strides on the football field, and how do you think that paid off when you were able to meet with kids and convince them, hey, this is a place you need to play?
You know, it's interesting, Randy, because I think a lot of that will be paid forward into this 22 class. But as you look at it year by year, our first class, we signed 6 players 7 days after we took this job, and we had known them no more than shaking their hands. And some of them have turned out to help us in our program, and that's great. Then we signed the rest of the class that February, and a lot of those guys are fixtures on our football team right now. And every year, the talent level has really just been – I've been blown away. I really have. I've been blown away by the people who choose to come and play with us, and the talent and some of the measurables, and probably more blown away by the other opportunities they turned down. So I don't know if that goes back to us winning the last 3 in the 19 season and building that momentum that really these kids were able to see. And obviously it doesn't hurt to have some big wins during the year to make recruits maybe more comfortable in their decision to come to Rice. And as people call them, which they do up until they sign that piece of paper, right. Those wins definitely help in that regard. But I think that you're going to continue to see this momentum go. And I'm so excited about our 22 class already. I mean, we're not even done with 21, so it's kind of crazy to say, but I'm excited about our 22 class.
Yeah, I failed to mention the finish you guys had last year going into this year as well. My apologies on that. One follow-up, if I can ask real quick, just the challenges, and now that you've been doing it at Rice now for a few years, the challenges you guys have, are a lot different maybe than some other universities with the, the academics side of things at Rice, and people have to qualify, so on and so forth. Can you address that? And just on the guys you do go after, it's not just about football skills. They've got to be able to get it done in the classroom as well. And that's always a challenge at Rice, isn't it?
Yeah. So Randy, one thing that me and my staff believe is our advantage. I mean, we can get in the door with recruits and their parents that we have no business getting in the door with when you look at their other offers, because of what we can offer them as a whole package at Rice University. So there are challenges. There are some people that, we recruit and want to be able to recruit, and then a test score comes or a grade comes in a class and they unfortunately fall off the board. But because of that, those days are few and far between, and the disappointment hurts when that happens, when we find out we can't recruit somebody. But the joy is the other 300 and something days a year when we get to work with these unbelievable student athletes. And that's what I signed up for. That's what I love. So I'm so thankful for the process that we are able to go through because of this elite university.
Hey, Coach, this is Richard Dean of the
Thanks,
Houston
Coach.
Chronicle. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Now, I know most of these kids were committed for a while, but my question is, since you guys beat Marshall, and it's such a significant win in so many different ways, what's the response been from recruiting from the kids since that victory? And I guess that kind of will maybe help you get more recruits, fill up your class in February or even for the 2022 class. But have you been feeling the effects of what just that one win over Marshall has just helped your program so much and getting the kids' attention?
I think from an attention standpoint and a national attention, I mean, yeah, you couldn't hardly turn on ESPN or any network that night after we got back without seeing it scroll across the bottom line. So it definitely got some people's attention. And, it's one thing we talked to the university about, like, this is great advertising. It would cost a lot of money to have Rice's name mentioned that many times during prime time on a Saturday night with all the games going on. And it definitely helps our brand in recruiting. It will help. It will pay dividends. I don't think like we will see it necessarily with anybody in the class that we signed today, because those guys have been locked up, like you said, and they're tight, and they're pretty they are owls. They are ready to be here. So that's exciting. But yeah, the future, I definitely think that that's going to be a fun thing to point to. And we're going to make a heck of a highlight film to show them for the next virtual junior day, since we can't go out recruiting till April. But with the inability to have people on campus and show them some of the wonderful things we have on this beautiful campus, this will be a great tool for us to use this offseason.
Hey, Mike, I think you learned maybe better than any other year how important it is to have depth playing through a pandemic. How big is it now that the guys that you're bringing in, because of the guys in front of them, aren't going to be thrown into the fire right away unless they absolutely earn it?
Oh, it's everything. This game is designed to be a junior senior sport, and no high school kid in the world has that in their mind. But what you see is, you look back to 2018 as we played some of those people that weren't ready to play, but they were the best that we had. And man, it's rough, and you're growing through bad habits and trying to change mindsets in some of those cases. So this is the way it's supposed to be. This is hey, if you are absolutely elite and you come in here and you earn the right to do something to help this football team on game day, more power to you. But if you need a year to learn and grow, as long as they work the way we tell them to, and as long as they meet the standard in every other phase, man, we're going to be right there with them, and we're going to coach them as if they are a starter. We're going to push them as if they are a starter, and they will grow. And again, we're seeing some of that depth grow from within our program, and that is exciting. And Matt, back to that first thing you said, I can do without another pandemic. Like, I'm good. I've coached through one. Check the box. Let's move on.
And then on the maybe a position you wish you had some of these guys, I want to ask you about the wide receivers, Peyton and Jay, that you got coming in here. Where do they kind of fit? Because y'all play, a handful of different roles at that position. How do they fit into the mix of as far as what they bring to the table and how you can use them?
Yeah. So, as you just talk about him, like Peyton is 6'3", 190. He's going to fit at the X receiver spot for us. The one that in the past you'd see Bradley Rosner, Phil, or August Pete, some of those guys that have the ability to stretch the field and or go up and get a jump ball. And so that's something we see Peyton being able to do. Then as you look at Jay Fulmer, we're just so excited about the potential. You can't watch his highlight film long without seeing that one-handed catch and just tuck it away and continue to run on a shallow and just outrun everybody. And to hear his coaches talk about his work ethic and the way he attacks this game, I could see him being a Z or an F for us playing in the slot some. So again, either way, I'm excited to have him, but we would have played Peyton Stevenson this year if we had him. He would have definitely been in that rotation. Well, as you know, I mean, we would have played, probably your next door neighbor at receiver if he could run fast and catch. So